Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. For the subscribers and those that have watched the channel in the past, welcome back. I know that we are long overdue for a channel update. It's actually been a little over a year since we last posted any videos. Don't worry, I didn't go anywhere. We just had a whole lot of complications and just stuff that got screwed up. That's pretty much prevented us from doing any videos over the last year. So in this channel update, I'm just going to be talking about what's happened since we last posted our last video, and then I'll kind of hint at where the channel is going to be going. So pretty much the last video that I posted, I think, was back in December of 2020, and that was like a budget video or something. I had been working on doing several other videos, continuing on through things. It was, the whole month of Christmas, so things were kind of busy. We have 4 different family holidays during the month of December, so it's not just Christmas, but a bunch of birthdays, and then you have New Year's. So there was a whole lot of stuff going on that kind of got us busy. But as I was going in, I recorded a bunch of videos. Essentially, long story short, my laptop computer that I used to edit and upload all my videos, it crapped out on me. So I wasn't able to do any kind of video editing or uploading of any type. I know there's options, alternatives, but they don't work with that. Because I'm trying to keep this video a little bit shorter, I'm going to go into detail in a separate video about what was going on there, and hopefully provide some tips and stuff for people that are interested in bringing stuff with them here and using that for certain purposes like making video or for business use. Also around that time, we were still dealing with the Bureau of Immigration. I do apologize for that fucking dog barking. That's just something we have to deal with here. But we were dealing with the Bureau of Immigration. During the whole quarantine, lockdowns and all that, the immigration offices were closed. We weren't able to go in and do visa extensions or anything. Finally, after a long period of time, they finally started allowing people to go back in, and it was a huge mess. It took quite a bit longer and a lot more money than it was supposed to, or it should have, in order to get my visa fixed. There was a lot of fuckery going on, a lot of scamming, whatever you want to call it, through the immigration. Again, to keep this video short, I'm going to cover that process in a separate video. So it was towards the middle of 2021, we finally get to the point where immigration's for the most part dealt with. It's time to get back in and start doing some videos. I know that my computer is toast, and I've got to figure out an alternative option. And because I'm here on a very limited income, I don't have a lot of savings. I really don't have any savings to pull from. I'm just saving up and trying to do what I can. Eventually, I'm able to come up with a way that I'm able to finance building a new desktop computer. Not as easy as I was, used to in the US. So building a computer here, if you want anything at least somewhat decent, it's a pretty big nightmare to go through. So I'll do a separate video on building a computer here. But it takes a few months, essentially, to get all the parts and get everything done to where I finally have a computer built that's working. There's some other things that are going on throughout 2021 as well. I have some family problems back home. My family's going through some very serious problems. Essentially, the landlords are threatening to kill them. At one point, the landlords actually burnt down the house that my mom was living in. Luckily, my mom was out of the house at the time, but she lost everything. I mean, literally everything that wasn't in her car. She lost it all in the fire. So trying to deal with all that, I'm here. I can't do anything over there to help. The thousands of dollars of stuff that I gave her before I moved here, it was all gone. So I'm, struggling through all that stuff. Finally, towards the end of 2021, I've got a computer going. I've dealt with all the other issues as much as I can. Okay, now I can finally get back to recording video. And in around November is when I start getting ready to do this. Towards the end of November 2021, there's also an announcement from the government here that they're going to be reopening tourism. So I I'm like, okay, I got to get on this. I've got to get this information out there for people so that there's no misinformation. We'll talk about that part in a little bit. But essentially what happens is I go to use my camera and I record 7 videos, 8 videos, something like that, or at least I think I record them. And then when I go into my computer, I go to pop the battery out so that I can access the memory card. My camera's jacked. So the battery had bulged like a bloated corpse inside the camera, possibly damaging the camera. And I popped I'm able to get the battery out, and I go to view the videos that I'd recorded on the memory card, and they're all garbage. The audio was just horrible, had really bad feedback or something. I don't know if it's because the battery, I don't know if it's the microphone is damaged, I don't know if the camera is damaged. Remember, the battery bloated inside the camera, so the camera itself was even starting to bow, so I don't know if it damaged components inside the camera. But at this point, I can't even test anything until I get replacement batteries. So in the beginning of December, I go to order replacement batteries. Guess what? They're out of stock. So it takes a couple months for them to get my batteries delivered here. Finally, beginning of this year, 2022, I get my batteries, get everything charged up. I do a couple test videos. Some of the videos turn out fine. Everything looks okay. Some of the other videos, after a few minutes, I get these audio issues. So at this point, what I'm experiencing is either the camera itself that I'm using is damaged and it's on its way out, or the microphone. One thing I am seeing is over the last 2 years, I am getting a lot of damage to my electronic components. So my laptop computer, my cameras, my phone, like anything that's an electronic device, the humidity is just corroding and jacking up all my electronics. We've been here for 2 years with no air conditioning, and it's like right now, it's super humid. And over time, it's just causing damage to components. And for that whole year that I wasn't recording video, I wasn't thinking clearly enough to somehow store my camera and my gear somewhere outside. So it's kind of just been sitting on the shelf next to the bed. It's got corrosion and all this kind of stuff on it. So it's a good chance that this camera is on its way out and I'm going to have to get a replacement. I do not have the budget for that. If anybody happens to have an old GoPro laying around that they're not using anymore and they want to donate it, that'd be greatly appreciated. But there's a good chance that if this camera does fully die, I'm going to have to look into alternative options, maybe the lower quality recording using my iPhone. We're just going to have to figure that out. But for now, this is hopefully working. I think this is like the 5th attempt of recording this video, so yay. So a lot of things were going on. One of the things that also was happening back in 2021, in July of 2021, after months of trying and waiting for paperwork, Vina and I were finally able to get married. So there's some good news there. The paperwork that is required for that, normally the embassy is the only one that's able to provide one of the documents. The government here made a change to the rules that allows the local notaries to do that part of the documentation. So when they made that change, we were finally able to go in and proceed with the whole marriage process. There's some stupid stuff that is a requirement, although if you know the right people, you can bypass it. But we're going to do a separate video at a later time that kind of covers all the different paperwork and the fees, all that kind of stuff that goes into getting married here. Now, we had a civil wedding, not a church wedding. If you do a church wedding, there's extra requirements that are added on top of the other stuff. We're just going to be covering mostly what's required for a civil wedding, which I'm sure most of you are going to go with that option anyways. But we'll go ahead and take care of that. So here we are. It's pretty much the beginning of March 2022. I know that most of you are already aware of the tourism announcement that they made. So towards like the middle or end of January of this year, the Philippines government made a new announcement that they were going to start allowing tourism on February 10th. And initially, that was really good news for a lot of people, but then a few days later, like usual, they changed the rules a little bit, kind of differentiated some things. Initially, the announcement was both vaccinated and unvaccinated could come in, and then they changed it to where it's only vaccinated, but starting March 1st, unvaccinated can come in. The rules change constantly, but that I'm going to have to do a separate video on all of the stuff going on as far as open tourism. There have been people I have seen that are already arriving here for like the last 2 weeks at least. People have been arriving here paying ridiculous amounts, like $3,500 for airfare coming from the US. There's a lot of restrictions that are being placed on tourism right now. It's not like it was before, so you also got to understand that in the country itself, we still have a lot of these restrictions and mask mandates, things like that, that you're going to have to deal with. So I'm going to be doing a separate video on the whole tourism and where we think that's going to be going. I was waiting a little bit. I didn't want to just give the information out there right away because I knew it was going to change, and I don't want to give you guys information that's going to be inaccurate by the time I update it. So I was waiting until things kind of normalized, made sure that, yeah, that actually is what's happening and we are able to see tourism return. That is the case now. So I think now I'm comfortable enough giving out that information. So a lot of things have been going on. One other thing is in about a month from now, we will be moving. That's a really big change. The place that we're at now has been okay, definitely far below Western living standards, but based on the limited budget, it's been affordable and it's done its thing. But like not having air conditioning, a whole lot of other issues here, I'm really wanting to get the hell out of here and move somewhere different. The place that we're going to be moving into is up north in the city of Antipolo, still in Rizal province, and it's going to be more expensive. We're looking at right now, we pay about 6,000 pesos or $120 per month for rent for a one bedroom. The place that we're looking at going into is 15,000 a month or about $300 US, but it's a 3-bedroom. So it's much bigger. It's in a private gated community. So it's so many of the issues that we have to deal with here, we won't have to deal with there. But it's more than, it's like 2.5 times what we pay for our rent right now. And on a tight budget, it's going to be extremely tight and challenging. And when you have to look at things like your first last deposits, we're going to have to pay fees to rent a van or a truck to move our larger furniture. We're going to have to just pay all this kind of stuff. We have like a $6 a month homeowners association fee that's our responsibility to pay. Like, I've done our budget, had to change some things up, but if we stick very strictly to the budget, we'll be okay, and we'll end up, we have about $10 a month on the budget left over for unexplained expenses. Not nearly enough, but that's what we have. There are a few reasons why we want to move, but one of the most important ones is, big announcement, as of this month, March 2022, Vina is 5 months pregnant. So, a little bit scary because I'm 44 years old now, and this is going to be my first kid. So, there's a lot going on there. We know there's obviously going to be a lot of expenses that come up, you know, having to buy things like strollers and all that kind of thing. So with an already tight budget, I'm not wanting to try and raise a baby or a child in the place we are in now. The place that we're moving to does have limited air conditioning. It's just a bigger place. It's more suitable for having a family and for Vina to continue doing her business there. It's just a much better environment, something that I feel a lot more comfortable in. But there's that cost, and it's very, very tight. And it's kind of scary because I'm still just really making sure that we're going to be able to do it and not have any issues. So those are all the great big what's been going on over the last year. It's a lot. But now that I have my computer up and running, I've been able to jangle the damn camera to where hopefully the videos will work. If not, I'll have to record this whole fucking video all over again and again and again until it works. So hopefully this does work because I'm getting tired of having to repeat everything constantly. But yeah, that's really what's been going on. So to kind of recap, I will be doing separate videos on these different topics. The first video that I'm going to be doing after this, the next one, is going to be the travel update video, simply because that's where a lot of people right now are really trying to get all that information. I know a lot of you guys, you've been waiting 2 years to get your ass over here, and now people kind of see the chance, but this isn't really the time yet that I would recommend you come over here. Uh, Maybe in another month or two when things start to normalize, but even then, because of the whole war in Ukraine, thanks to dumbass Russia, uh, we're seeing a lot of oil prices skyrocket, and that is causing cost of airline tickets to increase. From what I think I read just last night, PAL or Cathay Pacific, one of them, they're going to be increasing the cost of their flight tickets by 50% just because of the extra fuel costs. So there's a good chance that even as more flights start going, because of oil issues and fuel prices, ticket prices are probably going to still be very high. So that's something you're going to have to plan for and to deal with. There's no idea when all of that stuff is going to start going back to normal. There were some things that I read about the UAE and the people that are in charge of certain oversight with oil prices. They're looking to possibly supplement or some shit with the oil to kind of bring the price back down a little bit. I didn't read too much into it. That kind of is outside the scope of I give a fuck territory. But hopefully with that, maybe the prices for oil and fuel and stuff will stay a little bit lower so that airline ticket prices will be manageable. If anybody has questions, comments, feedback, or anything like that, go ahead and let us know. For the last year that I haven't been doing videos, I have still been getting emails. People are still emailing me at my email address that is on my channel. I have been responding to any emails that come through. I'm just sorry that I haven't been able to post any videos for quite a while. We never got to finish the other stuff, and there were certain discussions I was trying to have with people that we didn't get to finish. Hopefully now we can get those finished. So again, questions, comments, feedback, go ahead and let us know, and we'll continue doing these videos as long as I'm technically capable of doing so. Thanks.